Hello, hello. Hey up, what's up, what's good, bonjour. Welcome to the Any Given Runway show. I'm your host, Randall Carlton Brown. Any Given Runway celebrates the exploration of new cultures by highlighting some of the most artistic, athletic, tenacious, basically unique and interesting people in the world. Everyone has a story, each person a scholar. Welcome to Season 6. No lengthy preamble. Let's get right to it. We have a stellar episode for today with a fantastic guest. British author Rebecca Tope joins the show. Rebecca is the author of the Cotswold Mystery Series, West Country Mysteries, and the Lake District Mysteries. Many of her books feature unforgettable outdoor locations, and on today's episode, Rebecca reflects on the prominence of the outdoors in her novels, and we talk about how she first blundered accidentally into writing crime fiction. Lastly, Rebecca and I chat about the popularity of amateur sleuthing and why it's such a hit with the readers. I had recently read The Windermere Witness, one of the books set in the Lake District, and I quite enjoyed it and was thrilled to have her on the show. You're going to love her, so let's go ahead and bring on British author Rebecca Tope, and let's learn. I love how you described your entry into this world, blundering into crime fiction. That's something that made me smile. Yeah. Can you talk about how you fell into this world of literature?
Well, I started writing at the age of 6, I suppose, and had by the time I was in my 40s, I'd written 2 dozen novels, all different genres, you name it. Never crime. I'd never dreamed of doing crime, although I liked reading it. So the writing group I was at had a competition, and it was the first 3 chapters of a crime novel. And I thought, I'll give that a go then. And it all happened from there. That novel eventually turned into my first published crime book. It was an accident, really.
Do you think that the competition itself, that maybe the competitive nature helped fuel some of the writing?
Definitely, yes. I am a very competitive person. So, yes, it did. And I had been entering competitions a bit at that point and, really going for it. And it took another 8 years or something to get published, but then by that time I had 2 or 3 ready to go.
Very interesting. I love that competition played a role in that. Flowers. Now, in Windermere Witness, you reflect on how flowers enter our lives at landmark moments. And at one point, the character says she couldn't believe why everyone's not a florist because of its impactful nature. Why did you decide to have a lead character as a florist?
Well, the honest truth is that it wasn't me. It was one of the girls at the publisher who suggested it, because I had already got the Cotswold series going, which was my main series, and that was my idea. That woman is a house sitter, and it's another female amateur sleuth. So the publisher, the main woman at the publishing house, had been on holiday to the lakes and said, there's nobody writing, nice, cozy, she probably didn't use that word, crime novels set in the lakes. So a girl, one of her minions suggested floristry. And it's an obviously brilliant idea. So I took it up and ran with it. I knew a bit about it, about the business, but through a friend. And I knew I was keen on flowers, as everybody is.
Yeah.
So it was an accident. It wasn't me. I can take no credit for it.
Accidents and competition.
I've just been reading Windermere Witness this morning again, the first 2 or 3 chapters. So I'd forgotten nearly everything about it. And so, yes, I know the bit you're referring to.
Yeah. I really like that when she remarked that she wasn't sure why everyone doesn't do it as a profession. I thought that was great. You mentioned sleuthing. And amateur sleuthing. It is widely popular. Why do you feel that amateur sleuthing is such a popular style of novel?
I don't know why it's popular with the readers. I know why it's good to write, because police procedure seems to me incredibly boring. Unless you can, I don't think I could make it interesting. I know some people do. And also, I'm too lazy to do all that research. So the amateur can just live her life bumping into murders all the time. I mean, the whole thing is a fantasy anyway. It's not. I think that is the appeal. These books are really the modern fairy tales, I think. Yeah. You know, order is restored and there's goodies and baddies and jeopardy and quests and all that and puzzles. So that's the appeal, I suppose, really.
Yeah. For me, I thought it was a case of the average person getting thrown into an extreme situation. I thought that was maybe why, because everybody can picture like themselves in that role.
I suppose, but it will never actually happen in the real world. I mean, even if the person next door is murdered, you're not going to go out there and solve it. They won't let you. So, you know, it's all a dream. It's all a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We need fairy tales.
We
need
do.
Fantasy.
We need fairy tales. We need mythology. We need legends. Now, initially, I stumbled upon your novel. In a bookshop in Markham, not too far from the Lake District.
That's right.
They recommended to me as a cozy crime novel. I didn't even know at the time that was a genre. So how do you balance cozy elements with darker aspects of crime?
Oh, well, I don't consciously. I don't think that's my problem, you know, the labels that are put on it. So I just write as it comes, you know. I'm a very, I don't know what the word is. It sounds pretentious. You know, the story is sitting there in the keyboard, I think. And I just tell myself the story. So I'm not aware of being cozy or whatever the opposite is. Except, I mean, some of my murders I do get a bit graphic, but mostly not.
Yeah. And
there's dogs, but the official definition in the UK of a cozy is that there's a pub in it, and some action has to take place in the pub. So I do stick to that. There's nearly always a scene in a pub. I mean, it's an American coinage. We don't really call ourselves cozy, or we didn't until recently.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned you're just telling the story as it is. I've talked to other authors who kind of say they're not even part of creating it. They're a messenger. It's almost like they're a vessel. The story exists in the ether and they're just putting it onto papers. Is that similar?
No, that is overstating it a lot, I think, for me. Obviously, I think about the story between times, between the spells actually writing it. But basically, I sort of think of the characters as living here in the keyboard, at least. But no, I mean, I don't know where it comes from. There's a piece of one's brain. I mean, the writers are peculiar people anyway. I don't know that their brains are quite the same as normal people. And making the whole thing about you only make sense of the world through turning it into a story. So there's a strong element of that. Plus there's dumping stuff that I've been doing or thinking or reading about, weaving that into the plot, which is fun, and I like doing that. Just now, looking back at the Windermere Witness, I realised how horribly inconsistent I am through the series. You know, people's faces change, their ages are all over the place. And, you know, but readers don't seem to mind that. Do
you often go back and read previous work?
Never. No, I should do much more than I do. Because it's quite funny. I forget the whole names of characters. And then I do have to go back and see what somebody was called.
Yeah.
But no, and the good thing about that is that each book tends to stand alone. You know, you can read them out of order or just randomly pick one up. Because they're very long series now, both of them.
Yeah, so, I feel almost like going back, it could be detrimental in the sense that if you go back, you'd be like, oh, I want to change this. Why did I write that? What was I thinking when I wrote this? And there'd be a lot of things you want to do.
Absolutely. Yes. That was how I felt this morning. I wanted to take a red pen to that whole thing. So, yes, I better not do it too much.
Well, then, little tangent here, but with that being said, how do you ever know when a manuscript is 100% complete, or is it never 100% complete and you just have to go with it?
Yeah, I almost never revise. I have more than once just sent off a first draft virtually as it happened, which is embarrassing, but one of the best ones, that that I like most. With that, yeah, I was busy. I was going off on holiday, and I just thought, oh, I'll send it off, and it worked.
Yeah.
You can overwrite things. I mean, so I do take out a lot of commas at the editing stage, the copy, the proofing stage. I use far too many commas, but apart from that, and the copy editor is supposed to spot the real inconsistencies.
Yeah. Well,
but she doesn't always.
I'm guilty of the overuse of commas as well. So we have
okay, good. Just have a club.
Many of your stories, they take place in or around the Lake District, and the region has inspired several writers, including one of my favorites, Beatrix Potter. What do you enjoy most about Lakeland, and do you feel it helps with creativity?
I wouldn't say that quite. I mean, the landscape puts things into perspective, I suppose. The fact of everything's so big and wide and open and spacious that the little human stories, I think there might be an element of that in the long run, none of it really matters. But I'm not conscious of that, really. I mean, places like Castle Rig. Have you been to Castle Rig? Mm-hmm. The big stone circle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. That's one of my favourite places ever, anywhere. And my way of doing it is to stick to the little towns and villages, really. My people don't go out on the fells very much. So, and they have wonderful character. Compared to the Cotswolds, I think they compare very favourably with the Cotswolds, which is another, popular tourist area.
Yeah.
But the Lake District is much more solid and historic, timeless. But I love the names of the little villages. I mean, Crookerbeck and Clatterbridge, and they're just lovely.
Yeah.
And the variety as well. I mean, from east to west of the area, it isn't very far, but the huge changes in the scenery.
Yeah.
And all those sheep and all that stone.
Let's see, the little stone walls, yes, of course, and the countless sheep and cows as well. I think it's all great. I think it's all those idiosyncrasies that people don't get in their normal lives, especially if they're in the cities. I think it's those idiosyncrasies which are the best part about it.
Absolutely. It's very, very different from what daily life for anyone, really.
Yeah. You helped work on an ITV series. I'm Rosemary and Thyme. I'm curious on that, about the creative aspect of working with an already established work. How did your process, your writing process, how did that change when you were working with existing material?
Oh, completely. That was another competition, by the way. They said they wanted someone to novelize the scripts. And I got chosen, which was nice. The many differences. One, the story was already there, so we know who done it, whereas in mine, I've no idea who done it at the beginning. The other thing, working in very close partnership with Brian, whose idea it all was in the first place, the producer of the whole series. So we went, the scripts must be 8,000 or 10,000 words, and I had to make 80,000 words out of it. So I added a lot, obviously, descriptions and so forth, and backstories. But we had long phone calls going through it line by line, which I don't do that at all. I don't show my novels to anybody until I send them off to the editor. I haven't even got an agent. So it was completely different and incredibly satisfying, but easy. It was also very easy. So it was great fun.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I was curious, of all your novels, if you could pick one character to have dinner with tonight, who would it be?
Probably the police detective, the Moxon.
Okay.
Although I do like, I like the husband in the Cotswold series as well, Drew. He's an undertaker, and he's got his own burial ground, a natural burial ground. and he's nice. He's just very nice. But the policeman is also nice and sort of rather a little bit shambling. He's not terribly efficient. But either of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the boy, Ben, the very clever boy. The title that's coming out next, I've gone very much into the language of flowers as well, and how people can send messages, in a single flower. So that's something I should have done sooner, really.
You just hinted there about a new book. I'm intrigued about it. What can you tell us about the new book? Right. Do you have a release date, and what's it called?
Yes, it's called The Eskdale Episode, because they're all alliterative like that. I think it's the end of January, early February next year, so very soon. I've seen the cover already. They've actually used a scene in Eskdale, although you wouldn't know. I hadn't been there at all until the beginning of this year, January, February this year. I went there. Well, no, it was later than that. Anyway, so I wrote the book over the summer, and it all happens quite fast at this particular publisher compared to most, which is good. It keeps the whole thing going. Let me think. The florist is pregnant, very pregnant in this one. She's about to give birth when the murder happens. So that gives her a bit of divided loyalties, mixed feelings. She tries to keep out of the murder completely, but she never can. She always tries to keep out of them, but she gets dragged in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, but Eskdale is very much more remote and less populated even than most of the other parts of the Lake District. And it's not far from the coast, so you can nip over to the seaside as well from there.
Yeah.
And it's got one of the most horrendously terrifying roads. It's barely even a road, terribly steep and twisting and narrow. And I only did about half a mile of it before I just lost my nerve completely and turned around again. So nobody in the book, I don't think, actually uses it, but it's a feature of that area.
Fantastic.
But the murder, I can't remember much about the murder now.
Well, you said something that was very nonchalant in the way you said it. You said, I wrote the book over the summer. Now, to the casual listener, their head might explode. Like, you wrote a book just over the summer. So for you, when you're sitting down to write, are these 8-hour sessions, 4 hours? What type of blocks? And does it still come easy?
It's more a word length than a time length. So I have to do at least 1,000 words a day. So 80 days. Is less than 3 months, but I do take days off, and from start to finish is 4 months usually. But it doesn't take 1,000 words. Doesn't take very long to write. 45 minutes is about it, I think, really. Yeah. So it's not very labor intensive. It's just. And I have now, my memory is not so good as it used to be. I have to do them quite even faster. Otherwise, I've forgotten what chapter 1 said by the time I'm up to chapter 10.
Yeah. If you miss a day, like you mentioned, you said sometimes you might miss a day. Do you then double up the next day and you have to do 2,000 words, or you just add it extended?
It's not as
rigid
as that. Some days there'll be 2,000. I just don't want to stop. So I'll do 2,000 or 3,000. And towards the end, I do more usually in a session because I'm racing to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you can see the light when you get close to the end. You can see the light, so there's more incentive.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and there's all this stuff to sort out. There's plenty to get to work with. Mm-hmm. But I'm just starting another one now, and that's going quite slowly at the moment. It's there's all sorts of things I want to put into it, and I've got to organize it. I've got to think about the organizing of it.
Yeah.
But it'll be all right. I'm quite excited about it.
You mentioned not having a rigid schedule. What about your writing area? Does that have to be a certain way, or are you pretty flexible? You can write on a train, or have you evolved?
No, I can jot down ideas on a train, but no, I have to sit here at this corner of the room. and look out of that window. And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Are there any flowers in your view?
Yes, yes, I can see my front porch, and that's full of geraniums and other things. Yes.
Perfect.
But, yeah.
Thank you for
Okay,
taking the
thank
time
you.
with me today. I appreciate it. I hope we talk again, but thank you for today.
Right, thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. Thank you for listening. Much appreciation to Rebecca. Be on the lookout for her new novel coming soon. And for more information, check out RebeccaTope.com. Everyone has a story. Each person a scholar. Thank you for listening. Fill up that passport. I'll see you on the road. A bientôt.